What's up guys, I'm Popo and thank you very much for coming to the channel. After you watch this video, I promise you're going to be able to make a song on your MPC keys. What I'm going to do, I'm going to walk you through a basic setup, and it's just going to be like a template for you and how you set it up every single time, and then you can take it from there. But it's a straightforward workflow and we can get through it here in about 10 minutes. If you give me 10 minutes of your time, I promise that you'll make a song on this thing and you'll be able to use this workflow. And if not, it's worth a shot, man. Sometimes we get stuck on how to make a song and you get stuck with that 8-bar loop. I just want to show you how to do something that it might help you out, okay? So let's get right in here and do it. Alright, cool. So whenever your MPC starts up, it goes ahead and goes into this screen right here. We're just going to hit an empty project, and then we're going to hit the main button right here just to get to our main screen. Don't really worry about the sounds menu or anything like that, okay? Right now we're just going to go to the browse. You hold down shift and go menu, and go ahead and load up one drum kit, okay? Just so that you have some drums inside of this song. The reason I say is because your song needs to have drums, and most likely you're not going to have the drummer go up on stage and change his drum set. So just pick one. Just pick one drum set. Just make it nice and easy. You can always go back and change these later, okay? Just get the sound and the idea down is the whole main thing here. So we got one drum, and now for your instruments, we're not going to do places or expansions. We're right here on content. So you got instruments, and we're going to go ahead and just load up a few of these instruments. They're all good, okay? I don't think that there is a bad sound out there that can't be manipulated inside of this box. If it doesn't please your ear, you can always make it sound however you want. So it's like, you know, you're going to need a bass. The reason why is because I know that I am going to need strings. I know I'm going to need an organ. I might need a bass, and I might not use these sounds at all. But the thing is, I'm going to load them up just in case. So F9 has a ton of instruments in here. It looks like that's the only key groups that I have, which is very, very weird. I should have a whole lot more. But it looks like F9 is the only one that I have. Okay, so anyway, we got this here, and now we hit main. None of our sounds are there, and this shows that we're on our plug. So for track 1, I'm going to make sure that I'm on my plug. We're not going to worry about, or on the squares, we're not going to worry about the plug or this play button or the MIDI or the CV. We're just worried about the squares and these keys. Track 1, if it looks like that, highlight it to where it says the kit that you selected. Now you can play that kit on your pads or on your keys if you want. I just like to do this to set up the song because you don't want to go back to this browser in the middle of a song. It'd be like leaving the club to go find someone to play a saxophone. It just have the guy there just in case. Be like, hey, yo, dude, come in here. I need you to play the sax. So for track 2, we got Awakening. Track 3, okay. No, we don't. We got to go to the keys. Track 2, now we have those sounds that we loaded, and we have all these different sounds. So we'll start from 1, or none. Turn it 1 to the right. Now track 3, keys. I hate how it goes to that default. So we're on the second sound. And I'm just going to assign each. I don't like that. 4. Track 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's make sure none of these are repeating. So each track has a different instrument on it. Okay, we haven't even heard the sounds that are going to be on it. Now, if we want to add instruments, later on, we can. We can use the plugins and go into the sounds menu and bring in some really nice sounds or whatever. But just to have the main stuff that everybody has that you can just access right off the bat. You just hit the shift, content, your drums, and your instruments. You can do the same thing with your expansions and go through your expansions and pick your drums or whatever you want. Or if you want to use F9, then go ahead and use F9. But just as far as your content goes, just pick a couple of sounds and just load up all your stuff. Like I say, I really think that's important, because if you don't, you're going to end up finding yourself going all the way back to the beginning again, and that's not fun. That's not what you want to do. You never want to stop the groove. Or from this screen here, you can just go to track 1 and cycle through your tracks this way. It shows you on track 2, you're using F9. Track 3, dub bass. Track 4, track 5, and if I want to use another one for track 6, all I got to do is add it. But I'm good with 5 sounds for right now. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm not even worried about sequence. Sequence 1's cool. We're going to do everything on this one sequence. Now, I might change the bar length or whatever later on, but I usually end up with an 8-bar beat. So I'm going to leave it at 8 bars. Eventually, I'll get to 8 bars. You can start it at 2, and then I'll show you this workflow in just a second. But we're going to start on track 1. When you start on track 1, should be my drums. So the reason I say start with 4 bars is so that you don't have to play the kick drum over and over and over, but you want just a little bit of variety. Alright, so I'm just going to record a little bar. We're going to hit overdub and then play. And when it counts in, I'm just going to record my thing. So and we're going to go track to track. And after the first track, this is like overdub and play. See, that's what I'm saying. If I didn't want to play that for 8 bars, I only have to play for 4. I can just double the length of that sequence right there, and now I have 8 bars. Or you can start at 2 bars and just do it real fast and then double it for your drums only. Okay, at least for that kick drum. If you want it 4 on the floor, that's how you do that. But what's really, really cool now, what you do is you go to track 2 and you play your instrument part. Overdub over the track. Just something, right? Just anything. So now you go to track 3, and once you have your song all the way, let's just record something over track 3. Okay, just so we have some data that I can show you that I'm recording. Again, overdub, play. Cool. Track 5. Sounds like crap, but here we go. It's whack. Alright, but I'm just trying to show you the workflow here. So now we got 5 tracks. And these drums over here, we hit 2 pads. So I don't want my kick and snare playing at the same time. I might want just my snare to come in. I don't want my kick. So for the track, we're going to hit the pencil and hit explode. It muted out my main drums, but now it put my drums on 2 separate tracks. I have a kick and my snare, okay? And if I would have had 16 pads playing, it would have gave me 16 different tracks. The reason why I do that is so that when I go to my pad mute or my track mute, it shows track 1 muted, and I can mute out these pads. But before I do that, I'm done with this. I have 5 or 6 tracks, so this is where most people are. They have this song here, and they're like, okay, I got this going on, and what do I do? I got 4 bars going. So you hit your pencil right there, and now we got 8 bars. Okay, it's like, probably I got 8 bars, and it's just all looping. So all we're gonna do is hit this pencil. Trust me on this, okay? We're gonna hit the pencil. We got everything unmuted. And we're just copying the sequence a whole bunch. And this is a basic workflow, but it's a good foundation for you to be able to quickly get an idea out and then add stuff later to it. You know what I mean? Instead of just having an 8-bar loop, Now you have 8 sequences that are exactly the same. And you're like, Polly, what am I going to do with that? So now what you do, you go back to the track mute. Okay, you can hit menu and then go to track mute. Right here, track mute, bam. And for sequence 1, up here at the top, it says sequence 1. You go through all of them, and it's sequence 2, sequence 1. It says it because I didn't name it. This is the 3rd variation of sequence 1. The 4th variation of sequence 1, and so on and so on. So for the first one, I don't want everything coming out banging. I don't even want I just want my snare and some whack thing that I had there. 2, same thing. You know, I'm just arranging the same sequence over and over. If you see that. Now I got my kick, and that's all. Everything's going to ride on sequence 5. Sequence 6 is going to die back down. And it's not about the song or anything. It's just the workflow, okay, guys? This is something that you can see that it actually works. So now look. We got variation 8 of sequence 1. And if you feel like, well, it's all going to sound the same, I need an intro. Well, then record a second sequence with the same amount of bars and put it in front of this, and I'll show you how to do that. So right now we got 8 of the same sequence. What you want to do is hit menu and go into song mode. You're going to insert those 8 of the same sequence, but they're different because we muted them out, right? This is sequence 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we did that in the track mute. Remember, we hit main and we went to menu and we went to track mute. And we muted out the same sequence that we copied 8 times once we had an 8-bar loop. And it sounds whack on here, but if we had a great 8-bar loop going on here, it would be a cool thing to be able to do this. Because right now we're just arranging the song. And while you're in your mute, you can hit play. I'm just doing this blind just to show you this workflow. You can sit here and be like, no, I want my kick drum to come in on sequence 7 or whatever. But while you're in song mode, you hit menu and you're in song mode. You can also hit play here, and it'll go down all your different sequences. Now, you have to have this match up. Sequence 1 to 1. Sequence 2 is going to be sequence 2, and so on and so on. They have to match. If you want your 30-second bar to be sequence 1 again for some reason, and you want it to repeat twice, by all means, go ahead. But we're just going to go right down the bar here. 4 to 4, 5 to 5. And this is just basic structure, guys. This way, if you have a nice 8-bar loop and somebody's like, man, I want to rap over that, or I want to play guitar over that, or I want to do something, then you have a 64-bar loop that's already spaced out for them where they can just do their thing, or you can send these stems out and put them in your DAW or whatever it is. And we're not going to send out all these sequences. We're going to send out one. The reason I left this highlighted, you have to convert from this last sequence to get your full 64 bars. We're going to make sequence 9 64 bars. If you do it from here, you're only going to get 16 bars. Just trust me on that. You're only going to get 40 bars right there. Now you're going to get 64. To get the whole song, you have to convert from the bottom to the top. You're going to hit this button right here, convert to sequence 9, include muted tracks. Do it. Clear this. I know, right? We're going to go to 9. Now we got 64 bars. And when we hit play, we have that whole song of 64 bars. If I hit the grid right here, not that, if I hit the grid and go down, you can see that it goes all the way to 64 bars. And it's pretty dope, actually. But what I'm saying, now what you want to do after you have your song at this point, like, you can really get in here and go into the pad mixer, and you hit menu and get into your channel mixer, and then each track that's playing, you can add effects with your inserts and really get into the nitty gritty and start lowering your volumes and doing all kinds of stuff and mixing and mastering. Yes, you can mix and master on a keyboard. Now, let's say you did all that, you got all your effects and everything like that, and you're happy with it. Now what you want to do is go ahead and hit menu and then hit save. Now for this right here, you want to do the whole audio mix down if you want your stems. If you hit audio mix down right here, I'm going to do stereo output. This is output 1 and 2, and I want this as a wave. This is for if you want to listen to it in your car. Okay, you want to take this and put it in your car as a final track, but me personally, I would bounce this down to a sample and add a fade in and fade out point. I'll explain that later, but for this we're just going to hit explode tracks, and what that does is it's going to write all the individual tracks, so that when we go and try to find or send somebody some of our stems or something, that's exactly what these are. These are stems. It sends them all right here. This is the project, and then it shows the wave, and then it shows all the stems. So if somebody says, hey, all I want is the bass sound from that, or in that Kelly song that I played, they're like, oh, well, maybe all I want is one of those tracks. I also have the project and everything if I wanted to go ahead and send the project over to somebody. But to have the stems is really, really cool. Got the whole kit right there and all the stems. And so I recommend saving every single way possible. I mean, that's the reason why I love this MPC, is because you could save, and I've used a lot of gear where you couldn't. So you just save as to get the project. Don't save to your internal. You can save the drum program, the program effects, the sequence, whatever. That's more for making sample packs and stuff. The audio mixdown is what we want, and that's how you get it. That's what you send to DistroKid, and this is what you send to get mastered. That's a lot of stuff, guys, but that's basic rundown. And I'll try to leave little markers in here. This way we can kind of work it out. But if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Or if you need a one-on-one on this bad boy, just hit me up, man, and we'll get together and we'll knock it out. All right? I'm Paulie Popo, and thank you again very much for coming to the channel. If you found any value in this, definitely leave me a like and share the video. Please subscribe. Thank you.